So one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is trying to not let my personality become fixed. Like it's something I realized the other day is that your personality is not static. It's not predetermined. Your interests, your preference, your hobbies, and I think when you say that, people would agree. Like, oh yeah, you're right. Like I could do anything. Like I could try swimming. I could try acting. I could try whatever. But they don't do those things. And when they go through the decision-making process, like, hey, is this something that sounds like something I
In
would
half a mile, turn right onto US 89 South.
as if there was like a separate person that they had to consult. Like if it's like you're typecast in a movie, like, hey, I was a jock in high school. And so now I'm 30 years old and my friend comes up to me and asks me, hey, do you want to be in a play? And I have to like consult with this predetermined personality. Is that something that I want?
Turn right onto US 89 South.
Am I that guy who says yes to a play? Is that my identity? And it's almost as if it's already been decided for you. Like I think if your response to a question like that is too reflexive, like if you immediately say, if you're thinking to yourself right now, and I said
Continue
that,
on US 89 South for 10
and you
miles.
have a reflexive response that's like, no, if someone asked me to be in a play, I would say no. That's just who I am. I don't like that stuff. Or reverse, you did musical theater in high school and someone asked you to join their basketball league or come play spike ball. Like, no, I don't. That's not what I do. I'm a musical theater guy. Like I don't play sports. Like, have you ever actually thought about it? Or maybe you thought about it once and you just decided that was your personality and your identity became just like a list of things that all match, that all are congruent with someone who you decided to be. It might have been 10 years ago. I try to do this and it's very hard, but I try to make decisions about what I want to do and who I want to be based off of what I feel like right now I would like. It's I don't want to be who I decided to be 10 years ago or whatever. I don't want to just like look at the chart and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I said 10 years ago that I was a liberal, and so my friend invited me to like go to like a wealth seminar, and that just doesn't sound good to me. Or I decided 10 years ago that I'm conservative, and my friend wants me to go to Pride. And I just like, I don't even think anymore. It's like, boom, nope, not interested. Oh, wealth? No. Ew, capitalism. Oh, pride? No, ew, LGBTQ. No. I've already made my decision. And I think that's a really bad way to be. And not just in a political way, just like even, we do that all the time with interests. It's like, people say, oh, I'm not really that type of person. I'm not much of a runner. Says who? Who is a runner? Where do you think runners came from? They're just people who at one point started calling themselves a runner, and so they started running. And now when people ask them, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm a runner. Oh yeah, no, I got bit by the asphalt bug, and I just love to get out there and scrape the road with my Skechers." It's like, no, they just started calling themselves that. That's the story they told themselves. I like to think of it as like in a movie, a movie or a TV show, the characters have to be really simplified so that they can be consistent over seasons, and so you can usually guess how they would react. Like you could make up right now a scenario, and then you could put all the characters from The Office into it, and how they react. Right? Like there's like the coronavirus. Right? I think I saw a meme about that, and Michael Scott makes a joke about it, and then You know, Dwight is talking about how he could karate punch it, and then Jim is making fun of Dwight, and they're all very static, right? Because they're simple, they're not real people, and you can predict what they're gonna do. Like in a movie, like, oh, the tough guy is gonna get the girl, and he's gonna beat up the villain, or whatever, you know. Side note: I think this is why so many people like High School Musical, because it's like, it fights this idea, you know, the status quo and the jock who sings and whatever. But it's a real thing. You know, like, are you playing a character that someone would be able to predict? Like, I can think of friends, and I know exactly how they would respond to different things in their life because they're typecast as that character in their own life. You know, they're not the guy who, you know, they're not the guy who hangs out with the bros. I'm just not that guy. I'm not the guy who reads Shakespeare. Oh no, I'm not the guy who, I don't really do like the whole like investment thing. I'm more the guy who just like lives life to its fullest. I'm artistic. Oh, I'm, you know, systematic. I like to think in terms of math. I don't really like artistic things. Like, and whatever it is that you're telling yourself, I mean, sure, maybe you have a tendency to be a certain way, but most of that is just made up. Honestly, it's just made up. So if you're that manly jock who someone comes up to them and asks them to be in a play and you just say no because that's consistent with who you've always been, ask yourself, why did you decide to be that person? And if you come to the conclusion that, yeah, I don't want to be in a play, I'm not interested in that, that's fine, whatever. People have their interests, but don't just say no because it's consistent with your identity. Like, your identity is so malleable. Like, you can be interested in just about anything, and I really do believe that. Like, I don't think you should shut yourself off to almost anything in the name of being consistent to who you are, because who you are is totally subjective. Like, what do you mean who you are? Who you are with your mom, who you are with your wife, who you are with your bros, who you are at school? Like, who are you? You're a million different things. You're constantly changing. Why are you holding so tight to the illusion that you are something? Like, let that go. If you let that go, then it's so much easier to, you know, feel passionate about things, have fun, enjoy life, because you're not, you know, constantly thinking like, is this the right thing for me? Is this the path that I should choose? Like, try it. I don't know. Especially nowadays, like, people are getting so divided on these totally imaginary lines, and like, it's reinforced in so many places. You know, like, I have friends that say things like, you know, that love movies, but have decided to be in the camp of like rise and grind, hustle, entrepreneur people. And they've listened to too many videos and books like that are like, cut out everything in your life and focus on being an entrepreneur. And so they're like, okay, this is my identity. And so, like, I don't watch movies anymore. I don't like go on walks. I don't, oh, that's a waste of my time because this is the person I'm being. I'm going to build a business and be a billionaire. So, like, I have to focus on what that identity requires. And I don't believe that's true at all. I think that your identity is constantly being shaped if you surrender to it. Just be like, hey, I like what I like. I'm going to try new things. I'm going to not like things and I don't have to try them again. But I'm not a slave to that artificial consistency. you know. I've done that so many times. I almost have to like ask myself permission, you know. It's not really yourself though. It's more like I liked these people at some point in the past and they did this, and they were my friends and they thought I was cool and I did this. You know, like people that are so embarrassed to sing in public, like me. I'm that guy. They don't sing, and somewhere along the line, I decided I was that guy who just like, oh no, like I don't really sing, you know. I don't have a good voice. Who knows? I never sing. Maybe I have an amazing voice, but I've just, you know, I've clinged to that idea, and then that's shaped like a decade of my life, you know. Oh no, we don't go into cities. I love the country, you know, and so just I would never just the hustle and bustle. Why? Oh man, I get so bored out in the country. Oh, I couldn't handle camping. I love the energy, you know. I just want to be around hustlers. Want to be in the city. Why? When did you start telling yourself that? You think you were born that way? I think it's Bruce Lee that says, he's famous for saying, be like water. And, you know, like, your identity can kind of fill the cup like water does. And it takes the shape of the cup that it's in. And I believe that if it's coming from a place of confidence and not from a place of insecurity, because this exact same thing can happen in an insecure way, where you're saying, I don't have any identity. I'll try everything to grasp at acceptance. Like, oh, I tried to, you know, be an artist and like, oh, but maybe people won't love me. So, oh, maybe that's not cool. Okay, never mind. This week I love sports. Oh, maybe I'll find acceptance there. Oh, no. What do people want? It's like, no. If you're going from a place of confidence where you feel self-worth and you just want to try things and expand yourself, you can be like water. You can always be changing and evolving and trying new things and thinking about things differently. You always listen to self-help books, listen to a nonfiction, you know. But do it from a place of self-worth. Don't do it for acceptance. Don't run around chasing different things so that people will love you. That's the exact opposite of what I'm saying. That's what people are doing that are sticking to an identity. They're doing that. You can be insecure in both camps. You're like, hey, I am a jock because I found people that love me here and I'm afraid to lose it. I found acceptance here. And I'm insecure to move on and try something new. So I'm not gonna try and expand myself. I feel like people are much more dynamic than they think. I think they've been telling themselves a story of who they are, and people have been reinforcing that story, and they're afraid to change because who knows? Maybe when you discover the new version of yourself, maybe people won't like that version of you. Maybe you'll lose a friend. Maybe if you decide that you're really into, you know, singing, maybe all of your cool macho friends will think you're lame. And that's a real fear. That's a legitimate thing. But one, it's not true. They would only think you're more dynamic. And two, if it were true, then what kind of friends are those? I don't know. Food for thought. You can be interested in anything. You can be any type of person. I don't say you can be good at anything. You can at least be interested in anything. Like don't hide yourself from what you might be drawn to, because it doesn't match who you think you already are. Anyway.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto US 89 South, Center Street.
That might not make any sense, but I feel like it does. Oh, and one last thing I was thinking about. It seems like when you talk about this kind of thing, you're usually equating it to like hobbies. You know, like, hey, try new things. Like, oh yeah, sure, I got to get, expand myself. I'll pick up a new hobby. That's certainly part of it. Like I'll try pottery or whatever. But I mean it a little bit more than just that. I mean it in like a lifestyle thing. Like, you're not fixed in the way that you are. And you're not fixed in the things that you do. Like, if you're telling yourself you're that person that is always just gonna kind of, slink into a corner at a party, like, try not to be that. Sure, you have a tendency, maybe you're shy, maybe you're not talkative, whatever. But that's not the whole truth. That's, deep down, there is a capability to be more introverted or more extroverted than you're currently being. And you've probably been that way in certain situations. Like, it feels good to expand yourself. If you're really extroverted, it feels good to just try and identify as the person who listens, or the person who likes to be alone, or the person who is mysterious and doesn't think out loud. If you're introverted, conversely, that's the same thing. If you think you're introverted, like, well, there is a part of me that is introverted, and there's a part of me that's that way because I told myself I'm that way. Maybe I'll be the person who sparks, a conversation with an old friend. I'll be the instigator, or I will seek attention at a party, or I will post something on social media that I don't usually do. I don't think that your life and your personality should be a set of memorized behaviors. I think it's really easy to do that, especially as you get older. I think, like, your evolution kind of tells you to do that. Like, when you're a kid, you're always constantly trying new things, and you're, molding who you are. And like, one year you're like, Little Miss Spunky, and then in the 4th grade you're like, oh well, I read now, I got glasses. And it's like, one week to the next, you fall and you fail and you get new friends and you lose old friends, and it seems like your whole life begins and ends every day when you're a little kid. And as you get older, and actually I think there's an evolutionary reason for that, because you're trying to, you're growing, you're learning, it's like a survival instinct. You're trying to get as much knowledge as you can, find out what's important while you're young, have kids, and then all of a sudden your evolution is telling you, well, okay, we made it this far, like, we did it, we survived, we were only built to live like 40 years, and then you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just I found who I am and what's easiest, and I guess I'll just coast. And it's easier than trying new things and possibly failing and possibly looking dumb. I don't need to reinvent myself. I did that when I was young, and so it's a survival mechanism. Just like, hey, I will endure to the end. Graduated, now I am in life, and then you just kind of have figured it out. And I don't think that's true. And I think that the reinventing yourself is one of the most important ways to finding yourself. That change should not be seen, in my opinion, as always finding something different and finding something new, and it should be seen as an expansion of what already exists. It's like, you learn a new thing, it's not that you just become a new person, you're just discovering more of the person you've always been. And I feel like throughout your adult life, part of the goal should be to fill out all of the empty spaces and find out as much about yourself as you can. You know, if you never go and try those things, you never really know. And people surprise themselves with what they're interested in and what they're capable of, and they've reinvented themselves without even knowing it.